to about 30 areas. So I'll just draw on the three main ones that we managed to pull out. So the first one was about encouraging cycling and walking within the city, and the driver for this was really about the health issues that are raised about the high rate of asthma and how that can particularly affect toddlers and young children. There were lots of different practical suggestions. One was to have a 20-mile-an-hour zone across the whole city, to look at new ways of organising the city, such as blurred boundaries, having safe spaces, blurring the lines between cars and pedestrians, making the area more attractive to use, such as a cycle route along the river, and also to connect up with local towns. I think that's already in the plan. Looking at other pedestrianisation ideas and prioritising people and cyclists when you're looking in how traffic lights are arranged, and having more secure bicycle parking in the town. The second point was linking the town with the railway station. It was felt that maybe the railway wasn't highlighted enough in some of the documents and all the benefits it can bring and the possibilities. Looking at new ways to get tourists into town, and consideration as to where the bus depot should be relocated to make sure it connects well with the railway in the future. And also looking potentially into the future for how the railway could be used for other things such as waste rather than HGVs coming into the town and all the extra pollution that causes. And it was suggested that the MRS site already has a large siding and shed, so it could be used in the future to actually transport waste by rail rather than by HGV. And third point was about bus services, community bus services, and how they're required for the vulnerable and disabled because of the high costs associated with having to take taxis. And one person pointed out that it's potentially easier at the moment for somebody to get into Salisbury using Tisbus than it is for somebody from Bemerton Heath with a similar issue.
About various things, but I've tried to kind of group it into about three main areas. First thing that came up, which kind of relates to all of the themes here, was the representation, and that was here tonight and during consultation to compile the documents, especially around the age range. And I know people talked about young people, but it was also mentioned that, you know, as well as children, there's not much representation of people in the kind of working age 20s, 30s, 40s age group, and also minority groups. And this was mentioned specifically around the comment in the Resilient Communities section of the JSA about belonging, and that it was felt most people belong, most people feel happy. There was a query about what representation of people were actually asked that question, because apparently hate crime in Salisbury is extremely high. It's an extreme issue, and that's not been raised at all in either of the documents, so that's quite a concern. However, the police recording of that the method of that is being improved, and SCAR, who were here, are trying to organise a conference for later this year to hopefully raise awareness of that. Another kind of hidden issue is domestic violence. Again, there's a lot of improvement on raising awareness of this and how it's being tackled in the GO orders, but just the need to kind of continue the good work around that. Also, on this sort of sense of belonging, people felt that was a good preventative method. So, as well as sort of tackling crime, it's looking at how to prevent crime in the first place. By increasing people's belonging, sense of belonging of an area, the kind of ownership, making people feel that they can actually make a difference to their community. And it was mentioned about using the Jubilee and street parties and things to kind of raise people's feeling of a sense of well-being and belonging to Salisbury. Also around the prevention issue, talked around the fact that areas with high need, areas of high poverty, the knock-on effect of that is often crime and community safety issues, and that really needs tackling. And again, with youth activity, lack of youth activity, and then things like the skate park convention, things need to, there needs to be a provision of activity to prevent sort of knock-on effects. There was a big discussion around alcohol-related admissions to hospital, antisocial behaviour because of alcohol, and the sort of actioning around this would be education as sort of very gradual. It was acknowledged it would be very gradual, but change of culture, and this would need to be targeted at various age groups, because it was recognised that often it's thought to be a kind of youth problem, but there's various. You've got sort of youth drinking problems. You've also got professional, the sort of professionals who drink at home a lot, and also isolated elderly, and all of those issues, as well as affecting health. They also have issues around home safety with fires, and lots of knock-on effects. And then finally, a major issue was thought to be, because of cutbacks and lack of resources, who's going to be in effect picking up the pieces, and is there going to be more issues, more problems arising because of so many cutbacks? And lots of voluntary organisations who at the moment are addressing these issues are closing down. So there's it was felt there needs to be a real drive on getting more volunteers in, and sort of suggestions on how to do this were making CRB checks more transferable, promoting the fact that if young people volunteer, it's good for CV, some kind of Salisbury volunteer card that gives us kind of reward or recognition, all these things to sort of build up volunteer capacity so that there's people there who can tackle issues when public services or voluntary organisations are being cut, and pick up the pieces. Thank you.